Kush Sovereignty Black Righteousness. By L. James Bolin. Chapter 3 par 1. Betrayal and Obedience. Samuel was care for a moment, and it appeared as if he had started talking to himself. They were more separated than united, he said, pointing at Kush. Let me say this. These United States we live in was divided in every aspect of the world. They were divided by the color of their skin, race, financial status, and political party. Back in the days, they had some fool running for president whose slogan was "Make America Great Again." Or people were asking, when was it great for US? The United States should have been called the divided States of America because even the division was divided, and that division caused its downfall. Kush looked at Samuel, and elogued. Just thinking out loud, son. How fat people were at war with the skinny, dark skin versus light skinned, rich versus the poor. But never mind that for now. Samuel leaned back in his chair and pointed at Kush. Lean back and rest, son, I've got a lot to tell you. As he continued, this was before they made these bubble cities, but it wasn't until King Joseph of all Ireland became king that the word Wakatilian was first mentioned in modern history books. Now don't misunderstand. We got away from having authority figure like kings, queens, president, and all that during the Latrinculian War, or some would call it World War III. Samuel waved his hand in the air carelessly. But ole King Joseph was the great-great-grandson of Someon who was of the so-called royal family back in the day, and they did something extra special too, or for. The Abenian to reclaim that title. Anyway, Emir King Joseph was just a simple computant. Samuel said with his finger up to motion code before saying, he had that special DNA, elite tier 1, shit and tout he was number 1, he had any type of authority other than his own. They also knew him as a cold-hearted, self-centered, arrogant, narcissistic, egotistical, and drunken or monger, and any other negative term you can find. Until he met she from the clan of Camaria, it was often said that he wasn't the brightest light in the room, if you know what I mean. Kush said, no, he don't. Samuel shook his head, it means he wasn't too bright. But she, on the other hand, was a strong Wakatilian woman who demanded respect and never settled for anything less. She was the total opposite of her oldest sister, Ella, a concubine slave by choice who was already in King Joseph's palace. She was the Queen of Ireland for 3 years, give or take a couple of months, when she was murdered as the first wife of King Joseph and given the title of Greatest Maiden Peer of all Ireland. Samuel became animated. Kush looked at Samuel as he talked in a European dialect, and Samuel smiled back at him. You see, in ancient England, they had a system whereby your inheritance gave you a special position. This inheritance classified you as being royalty. King Joseph adopted this same system. Samuel scratched his head. Or was it his father? Anyway, King Joseph is the one who married our ancestor. They brought back this system, but it died before King Joseph's death. Their marriage and her execution made her a historical figure in the first political and religious upheaval that led to the Compluten's separation from Abenian authority and rule. She was the daughter of Shaka and his wife Lizzie, who was from Southern Ireland, pro-descendant of the TWA tribe. She wasn't her real name. Her real name was Aneya, but everyone called her Chi. For future reference, you can call her Queen Aneya, the first. We'll get to the other two later. Samuel posed, you see, back then, the Abenian, and everyone, saw Wakatilian as inferior and a nothing more than property. So, you can imagine how they felt about Queen Chi, a Wakatilian woman who was now married to their king. As Samuel continued to speak, he noted that things were never easy for Queen Chi. She had to endure coups latent on her life, including an assassination attempt by her own sister, Ella. Queen Chi had to be vigilant and on her toes at all times, but despite all the danger and difficulty, she remained a strong and influential leader. Kush listened intently to Samuel's story, fascinated by the rich history and the struggle that his ancestor had endured. As Samuel continued his tale, Kush felt a deep sense of pride in his heritage and the legacy of his people. He knew that the road ahead would not be easy, Bu was inspired by the resilience and determination of his people, and he was ready to carry on their legacy of unity and equality for all people. Samuel pulled out his footstool and rested his leg. The story goes that King Joseph often made trips to southern Ireland to replenish his cabinet with fresh fruit, herb, homemade beers, and fine liquor. There, he met she and fell madly in love with her, not caring that she was Wakatilian because, always, it was against the law to marry one. Still, he could have won her as a slave. So, he began pursuing she, but she resisted his attempt to seduce her. She refused to be Anyone's concubine, and her dream were to become an influential leader of her people. She rejected all his advancement and respectfully confronted the king. It soon became the one object of King Joseph's desire to change his hormonger way to marry she. Samuel paused. Let me stop right there. You can't make a into a housewife. In this case, a husband, for she knew who he was, but ignored the sign. He had already been with her sister. But anyway, I guess. She took the would change. Elle, I don't know. We would have to ask her. Plus, s'about à 10. And in the decision, or else you and he wouldn't be here. However, when it became clear to Abni Alpha 23, en Elite Abenian who governed this section of the world, that King Joseph was trying to marry a Wakatilian, all hell broke loose. Et demanded that their engagement end, or else they would separate themselves from the complaint of all Ireland, leaving them to fend for themselves. This threat didn't sit too well with the king, and out of drunken anger and content towards the Abenian, King Joseph married she, made her queen, and granted her the title of the greatest of the great maiden of all Ireland. Shortly afterward, Abni Alpha 23 decreed sentence for excommunication against King Joseph and his entire territory. Because of this marriage and this excommunication, they officially broke off their ties with the Irish computant. After being crowned Queen Chi of all Ireland, she gave birth to Queen Aneya, the first, almost a year later. Back then, men always wanted their firstborn to be boys, and her gender disappointed him. It did not entirely discourage him, for he said à son would surely follow and prove to love his daughter Aneya. On the royal baby was born, Queen Evelyn, King Joseph's mother, along with governor and general of each Commonwealth nation, was informed along with the rest of the royal family and her family. There was chaos in the street by this time because the people started feeling the effect of not having the Abenian's technology, or ETS advantage. Samuel stopped for a moment. Billy, can you explain this silly ASS birth ceremony? Billy then said, why is it silly? These were their custom and practice, they probably think that yours about is a fairy tale, and they do. But sûr. A royal physician signe an official document confirming the newborn's gender, weight, and birth time. A palace official will bring this document out of the hospital, and this is the first sign the world will get that the royal baby has arrived. And it's then handed to a messenger who will take it to the palace underguard. They put the notice into a frame at the palace, positioned on an easel and placed in the palace forecourt, at which time the world will know the gender of the baby. However, it could take anywhere from up to 8 days before the new arrival's name is announced. After the announcement, a brief statement by the king of the child's birth outside the hospital. Samuel interrupted Billy, you probably right about your statement you just made. But he know what he know, seen what he know and felt what he know about Sabaoth. It's what they know so he will take my statement back, about it being silly, it's their tradition. Tradition of men handed down for generation. Anyway, thanks, he got it from here. Billy said, you're welcome. Samuel continued, at the hospital, the king made his announcement of the child. All took they were at the ceremony, Chi's parents were supposed to be up there with the royal family. But because they were Valcatilian, they were standing in the back of the crowd. They minted 5,000 silver penny to mark the royal birth. Samuel pulled a silver penny out of his pocket, and handed it to Cush, like this one. The king's artillery sounded celebratory gun salute in the royal park with 41 round salute and again by the honorable artillery at the Tower of Ireland with a 62 round salute. In keeping with their tradition. It is said that when she left the royal hospital, they burned her shit, because she was Wakatilian. She appeared on the steps of the building with her newborn as the crowd looked on. The ceremony lasted for 2 days before Chi's family was to head back home. Chi's father, Shaka, approached her with tears in his eyes. He will return in 8 months to take the baby and perform my family ceremony in the Holy of Holy. Don't let anyone know, not even your uncle Mal. Do not let them know where the baby or I am. Because it is of great importance to say about that no one knows her whereabouts. You will find out why he have asked of you such request late. He also need all royal document of her birth and 500 silver penny. She smiled and said, it is so. After 8 months, Shaka showed up at the palace and with open arms she had everything he asked for and didn't stay there long enough to see the king and she never saw her doctor again. 3 miscarriages followed and King Joseph returned to his old way of having orgy and entertaining other women. The king's love for she was gone and so was his loyalty to her. He also heard, not once did he ask about Aneya. Shaking his head, Samuel repeated himself, not once. By this time, the full effect of the Abenian's absence caused civil unrest and violence to take over the land. Soon after, she was taken and charged with high treason and sent to the highest court in Ireland by her accusé. She was tried before a jury of peers, including her former betrothed and her uncle Mal. Like I told you before, everyone who is your family and your family. The court proceedings were long and intense, with both sides presenting their arguments and evidence. In the end, Queen Chi was found guilty of high treason, adultery, inciting a coup, witchcraft, and a bunch of other lies according to all Ireland laws and sentenced to life imprisonment in a remote dungeon in the mountains. King Joseph didn't give a damn by the verdict and didn't even try to appeal to the Abenian for clemency. However, the king's reputation was tarnished, and he lost much of his support among the people of all Ireland. Again, he didn't take care. Meanwhile, Queen Chi languished in her cell, day after day. She never gave up hope that one day she would be reunited with her doctor and her people. In the key moment, she would often think back to the time when she first met King Joseph and how everything had seemed so perfect. But now, everything was different, and she had paid a heavy price for her forbidden love. After a formal lackluster apology in front of the citizens with all the balloon and whistle by King Joseph, all Ireland was punished for their sin but eventually united with the Abenian once again. To show the Abenian their loyalty, she charges were upgraded and she was beheaded days later. Cush had forgotten et held the silver penny in his hand as he handed it to Samuel. Wow, dit Abenian sur us. But why? Samuel said, yes, they do. You will find out. Just wait. Remember, like always, and I'll say it again, history repeats itself. Martha interrupted them when she entered the living room with some fresh squeezed lemonade. Here, old man, you all gonna need something to drink with all that talking you all doing. Samuel smiled. Thanks, old lady, he sure do. Taking a drink, Samuel smacked his lips à Martha and dead cush a glass. Samuel continued, this rent true for the Wakatilian of Ireland. Et posed, Martha, this here lemonade is something else. Martha smiled, thanks babe. Samuel continued as he smacked his lips again, this rent true for the Wakatilian of Ireland, and the life in Ireland was cruel towards the Wakatilian. For the next 200 years after Chi's death, the Abenian took revenge on the Wakatilian. Because of what she had done. The silver penny were thrown out, but the Wakatilian found them and kept them for themselves. It was so bad that they started immigrating to the Americas as a way to get out. But even that wasn't a joyful event. Because they were Wakatilian, they could not travel the way the Computant did. And on top of that, the Computant started spreading rumors that they carried contagious disease. Computants ired desperate Anakata to ship them on all rusty naval ships as indenture servant to the Americas for the price of 1 year of servitude. It showed lucratively, the cost increased every year as these immigrants rushed to get out of the country. The first servants imported into the Americas were just a few hundred Wakatilian promising to send for their relatives after war. They referred to these laborer as servants, not as slaves, because many agreed to work for land and rights. Little did they know it was just empty promise and straight-up lies. Samuel continued with his story, telling Cush about how the Wakatilian eventually formed their own nation, and each nation separated into clans and refused the term, Wakatilian. The nation was founded on the principle of unity, equality, and justice for all ETS people, regardless of their background. The nation thrived and prospered, and it became a beacon of hope and inspiration for all oppressed people around the world.